What's up, family? It's your boy Raynolf here, back with the eyelid burn. I went out to the beach yesterday. It was a 9-hour round trip, and I got one of the best naps of my life when I was out there on the beach. It was totally worth it. And I'm back with another video for you guys today about how to learn faster. Quick couple announcements. I'm going to be doing a live stream tonight at 9 p.m. So I want you guys to come through, and you can ask any questions. I'll be answering questions, and then we'll just see what happens from there. I may do some channeling, may do some family messages. We'll see how all that goes, all right? But it's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and I'm happy to be here with you now. So let's jump right into the video, how to learn faster. All right. So the first topic that we're going to cover, how to learn faster. And just so y'all know, this is gauged mostly for spiritual learning, but this will cover all learning. So if you're here for, wanting to learn on a mundane level on how to get information, how to study for a test, how to do whatever, this may not be the exact video for you. But for those looking to advance their spiritual level and their soul level and their remembering, as Plato said, all knowledge is remembering, then this video will be exactly what you need. So, the first step is learn courageously and let your intuition be your guide. Okay, learn courageously and let your intuition be your guide. So, the point of this, of learning courageously and letting your intuition be your guide, what do I mean by this? Okay, so a lot of people, you basically have to, in the modern world, you have to circumvent your scientific mind. Right, the scientism that we've been taught, because a lot of people reject information immediately, right? And if you're watching this video, you've probably overcome this to some degree. You've probably begun to move outside the realm of the kind of learning that we did in school, where we had to read from a certain book, and we had to we learned to only trust experts, so to speak, right? Which is not always a bad thing, but this is what I mean by learn courageously. So what happens is, when you pick up new knowledge that is not of the mainstream type, it takes courage for you to be able to start using that knowledge, or to start creating your own idea about that knowledge, using your own intuition and your own remembrance, your own soul depth, to try to gauge whether that knowledge is right or wrong. Because immediately we've been trained that we should turn to an expert, or we should turn to Google, or to a fact-checking website, or that we should only consult a doctor for any kind of healing practice, or that we should only consult a lawyer for any kind of law knowledge, or that we should only consult a professor for true knowledge. But that's a bunch of bogus. That's all to keep you stuck in learning extremely slow. The reason why it's called a college degree is because you're only getting 1 degree of the 360-degree wheel that is in astrology, which is you, which makes up your whole character, soul, spirit, body, everything, right? You only get 1 degree. So if you want to start to learn all the degrees, it's going to have to be you. You're going to have to be self-motivated. And why this takes courage is because you have to be courageous, because at the beginning you may feel inadequate, or you may look like an idiot if you try to share the knowledge to somebody else, right? This is the biggest barrier to getting to learning in the first place. So basically, part of the courage is that you have to you have to get over your fear of being a hypocrite, right? Of saying something that you later figure out is wrong, or from saying something that you don't do. So you have to get over the fear of being wrong, and get over the fear of being a hypocrite. So it basically works like this, right? So say you just get into astrology, and you find that you're enthusiastic about astrology, right? And then you want to share it with somebody else. When you start sharing it with somebody else, then they come back at you with like some cosmology, like, well, how can astrology work? That doesn't make any sense. How do the planets exert energy on the human? And then you'll find in yourself, oh crap, I haven't actually gained enough knowledge to answer that question. Why do the planets assert an actual influence on humans? So then you'll feel like, well, maybe I'm stupid for studying astrology at all. Right? So that's why this takes courage at the beginning, because it's very easy to get derailed and to get pushed off by other people. Which leads me to the next point, basically, is when you're beginning to learn, don't go around sharing it with everybody. So I've covered this in a few different videos, but this is especially with family and friends that are in a different spiritual path, that are on a different level than you. The reason why you should not just share this immediately, and this can be tough depending on what your astrological placements are, is because for the simple reason that you can't afford to get discouraged. You need to keep your courage and to keep your learning going. And this is why I said let your intuition be your guide, because if you're intuitively drawn to study astrology, then you owe it to yourself to keep studying astrology before you get discouraged. You need to keep building up your momentum. So if you have an internal gut feeling and you're naturally drawn to be studying astrology, then you have to be courageous enough to study astrology, because that's not something that the modern world teaches you is valuable to study, and it's something that the modern churches and other religious systems may tell you is explicitly evil, is something that you shouldn't be studying. So I'm going to give you the tools to keep this courage up and to guide you through the learning, right? So the main thing is don't share it right away, because the 3 principles of Mercury, which I've explained in other videos, are learn the knowledge. So first you should be getting that knowledge. Then you need to embody the knowledge. So if we're using astrology as an example, you should start doing charts on yourself and on anybody else you have the info on. You should start to watch the planets on a daily basis. Like pick one and watch the moon as it goes through the signs, and that'll help you learn about the signs and to actually put the astrology into reality. Instead of just seeing it in videos or seeing it in the book, now you're actually tracking the moon, and you notice now the moon's in Capricorn and I and the people around me are acting like this. Now the moon's in Aquarius and people are acting like this. Now 2.5 days later, the moon's in Pisces and I feel and people are acting like this. You have to start to get that embodied knowledge, because this is how you're going to be able to teach people. Then the third step of the third principle, the third step of Mercury, is to spread or teach or share the knowledge that you've now learned and embodied. So why do you have to learn and embody it? Because learning is your, in this trinity, is the left brain knowledge. So you gain the knowledge, then you have to gain the right brain, which is understanding. We'll call understanding is the old word, but since legalese exist, we'll call it understanding, right? So knowledge plus understanding, left brain plus right brain, equals wisdom. Okay, wisdom is an embodied knowledge. It's knowledge that's been practiced, so you've gained experience as well. So you have an experience and an intuition plus the knowledge, right? Okay, so this is the first thing. Don't share things until you've embodied them and you have wisdom. That's number 1, right? And look for teachers that have wisdom. So not only are they giving you knowledge, but they're giving you examples that they've been through or that other people have been through about the information, right? Okay. Now, the other step to this, and this will inspire your courage and help you keep it, is that what you research will naturally be right for you at the right time. Your soul and spirit are guiding you the entire way, right? So you need to take trust in the fact that you are being guided to the right knowledge at the right time. So I can give you an example of this in the past. Like, I used to watch a guy named Jordan B. Peterson. He was a very popular psychologist for a while. And what happened was he blew up onto the world stage for certain political moves that he did. But I was very inspired by his depth psychology and by his studying of Carl Jung and of some other psychologists. And he had all of his classes at Toronto University. He used to teach at Harvard, then at Toronto. He had all of his psychology classes posted on YouTube. So unlike a lot of people who were watching him, I was watching the classes more so than I was watching his political activity, although I was watching all of it, right? And I'll show you an example of why I could have been discouraged, and I was. So then he basically went insane. So he was, after 2 years of mind-blowing knowledge, he was he admitted himself, or his family admitted him into a institution because he was dependent on a drug, on a stimulant. I forget exactly what it was, but he was on like a benzo, I guess. Maybe it's not a stimulant, but he was on a barbiturate, I guess. And so he went he's been in a mental institution for like 2 years. So when you're trying to, if you try to like, I like Jordan Peterson, and you're telling your friends and your family that, and then they just reading headlines. They're not actually watching all the lectures that you've watched. They're like, oh my God, you liked a guy who went crazy. You're an idiot. You know what I mean? But that information was exactly right for me at the right time, and a lot of it holds up. Just because the man goes crazy doesn't mean that his information is wrong, right? And so, but that was the exact right thing for me to be studying at that time, because he gave me the pieces that were able to lead me to the spiritual path. Because he, from a scientific and Darwinistic and evolutionary, as well as a phenomenologist and clinical perspective, was trying to reckon with God, with religiosity, because he recognized with his clients, he was also a clinical psychologist, when his clients came into his, to consult with him in practice, if they were having extreme life problems, like I lost my job and I don't know what I'm doing in my life and everything's falling apart and I'm depressed, the only way that he could help them out of that was by using religious language or spiritual language. Like, you have to go deeper than just, you should change your routine. You can't just use behavioral psychology when someone's having a life crisis. So he, from a scientific perspective, was trying to reckon with spirituality and combine the two. So me coming from a more scientific perspective at that point in my life, that was exactly what I needed. I needed to be eased into the spiritual side of things without being fully engrossed in it, you know? So he played that role perfectly. Then I moved on to actually learning from mystics and gurus, so to speak, after him. But if I didn't trust, if I lost courage, I may have thrown the whole path away. I may have said, oh, I liked a guy, he was completely wrong because he went crazy if I listened to all the outside influences. And this is a big fuck up. I just need to go back to being a normal person, right? That's not the case, because that was exactly the information that I needed. My soul and my intuition was guiding me. My spirit was guiding me to that exact knowledge at that time, because it was going to be the bridge to take me over to mysticism, to spirituality. So that's an example of that, right? And if the information feels right, try it out in life, and then get all the details later. So this is where, remember I told you, left brain knowledge, right brain intuition, understanding, wisdom is the trinity, the top of the triangle, right? And wisdom's what you're looking for. That's what defines a teacher. It's someone who's wise, a good teacher. So on this path, often you want to use your right brain first. So you get information and it feels right. Then try it out, okay? If you're getting a feeling, or if you're naturally drawn to it, or if you become passionate about it and you can't even explain it, go for it. And then worry about analyzing it and reducing it and summarizing it and categorizing it and getting all the details. Worry about that later. Okay, this is the exact opposite of what school teaches you. First, follow your intuition and follow what you naturally want to learn. Then worry about explaining it to all your friends down the road later. Don't get so caught up in, I need to know all the details, I need to know the exact function. That's all good to process, to move you down your path of learning, because then it'll say, okay, if I don't understand these principles, I can't fully grasp this. So that'll guide you. But this is the learn, feel it first, explain it later, is basically what I'm saying. And this is the opposite of what everybody teaches you. And this is how at age 24, I've been able to get to such a place of depth, not only because I've lived so many lives in this world and my soul and spirit was, even if I was like, had my head under the sand, was naturally going to keep pulling me and pushing me to get to where I am today, but also because I let my intuition and my spirit be the guide and then worried about figuring it out later, right? And this is literally the only way you can do it, because think about the phrase figure it out. You can't figure something out if you're in a maze. You can't figure it out until you're out of it. So I would throw myself into a maze, astrology, right? And I had no idea how it worked, what the cosmology was, if we were really on a spinning earth and these planets. Because you have to change so many things for astrology to make sense in your perspective that we were ingrained with, that we were spoon-fed, that we were injected, right? So first, I threw myself into the maze of astrology, so I'm in here wandering around. In order to figure astrology out, you have to get outside of it, right? So first you throw yourself into it and you start to find the clues and the information inside of it. As you find more and more and more, you begin to figure it out. Then you can look at it as if you're an eagle flying over the topic of astrology. Once you've gained so many details inside of it, so you've started to get the left brain going too, like, okay, now I know that these planets are actually local. They're actually very close. The sun is only a few thousand feet away. It's not 90 something million miles, right? The moon is also very close. All of these planets are within the firmament, the dome, of the fixed stars. Once you start to figure that stuff out, you're like, oh, now it makes complete sense. And the ancients of all religious systems have all taught the same thing, right? Then you start to figure it out, and then you can teach it to somebody with left brain thinking, or just never worry about teaching it to them in the first place. But you know what I'm saying? Now you've figured it out. You've gotten out of the maze of astrology because you've found the biggest details that unveil the secrets. Then you can fully get it with both brains. So first I just felt that astrology was right. There's no way that I could learn all of the principles of astrology and then use my right brain, my intuition, my creativity. First I followed my creativity and my passion and intuition. Then I found enough details for it to make sense. And that created wisdom after I experienced it, after I went through the process for years of figuring it out. And I have plenty to continue to learn about. But I have a comprehensive enough view for it to be valid for me and for me to prove its validity to other people, right? Okay, so that's beautiful. I think that I covered that thoroughly. So now let's go to some general points, right? Of guiding you what to learn, how to learn faster, okay? So learn when you're passionate, and learn what you're passionate about, okay? So what do I mean by learn when you're passionate? First of all, there are natural cycles in everybody's lives, and yes, these are governed by astrology, but without having any knowledge of astrology, you can feel these cycles. So on some days, this can have to do with so many variables, right? But even if you take out all the physical variables of today I was sick, today I'm very emotionally unstable. It's a day where a lot of things have been going wrong. Today I've just been hungry all day and my mind's been wandering to food. Those are all days when it's not great to learn, right? But if we take all that away, imagine you're just in good health for 7 days in a week. On certain days in that week, it's going to be better to learn on those days, depending on who you are, and just in general, on Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be better for most people to learn because that's Mercury Day and Jupiter Day, which Mercury is about intellect and fast-moving, quick, clever, natural wanting to learn, whereas Jupiter's about wisdom and philosophy and teaching and coming to great revelations, right? So both of those days are always going to be good to learn. So you can choose those days. Like today's Mercury, and you can tell my speech is pretty good and my mind's working fast today. But also what happens is just by the flow of the week, some days you're very passionate, some days you're not passionate. So you want to learn when you're passionate, and you can judge this by the minute. Like you can all of a sudden have something strike you and you become passionate about learning something. You may see something on TV, you may see something, you may hear something that a friend or a loved one says, and that'll strike a chord. That's when you go learn, right? Or on that day when you're naturally feeling like you're ready to learn, make sure you go do it. Don't let that passion burn out. Use the passion when you get it. Strike when the iron is hot. So if you strike when the iron's cold, you don't meld the sword. You don't change the shape of it. If you strike when it's hot, you can get it sharp quick, right? And also do some things that can increase your learning if you are wanting to learn. So such things as you can learn better on an empty stomach, right? And work out better and do everything better on an empty stomach because that's when you're hungry. You're hungry for information. You're hungry for food. You're hungry for all kinds of things. So sometimes it's better to not eat a big breakfast right away in the morning and to go read a book instead, because you'll naturally your body won't be spending energy digesting. It'll have full energy to spend on other things, right? So that's a great practice, is to learn for 5 or 10 minutes every morning. You don't have to read the whole damn book. Read one chapter or read 5 pages. Or it's not as good to look at something because you shouldn't look at a phone right away because your eyes want to adjust in the morning. But even if you have to do that, go and read some articles in the morning or watch a YouTube video, right? You can also learn better if you use teas that stimulate the mind, Or if you're a natural caffeine drinker, you drink caffeine all the time, then use that caffeine rush. Use that energy to go learn, right? So these are ways to learn when you're passionate and learn what you're passionate about. I spoke about that in point 1. But let your natural intuition, your feeling, your passion guide you, and trust that it's the right thing. Don't criticize yourself. Don't feel guilt for studying something that you're not supposed to. Get over those things. Those are illusions, and those are actually the exact restrictions that are stopping you. So the more guilt you feel about learning something is showing you that that's exactly what you should learn if you want to transform yourself fastest, right? And then the last point that I'm going to discuss, point number 3, is learn in the way that's best for you. So some people naturally love to read. They've grown up reading books, fantasy books and all kinds of books, or love and romance books. And so they naturally just love the medium of reading it. They get into their own world. They're a pretty quick reader, and they just love it. So you're a person who should buy books. You should buy books about what you're passionate about and what you want to learn about. Some people like me love YouTube videos or podcasts because while they're listening to a video, they can be doing other things because it's an audio method of learning. When you're sitting there and reading, and audio is what I would recommend for most people. Most people if you go back to your ancestors thousands of years ago, all of them learned everything they knew orally. It was an oral tradition. So the shamans would sing to them or tell them poems or speak to them and tell them stories, right? So, like almost everybody in the world besides deaf people can hear and learn information through hearing, but only a certain portion, like half of the world or less, is literate, can read. So it's just more, and reading is only something that the common man could do for like a few thousand years. So I would recommend that most people are probably best at audio learning, and also you can multitask. You can be cleaning the house, you can be cooking, you can be going on a walk, you can be exercising, and instead of listening to music, which is beautiful, listen to music a lot, you can be listening to information. So you could be watching this video. You don't need to see my face to get the information of this video. You can put it in your pocket and go walk around with headphones on, or put it on a speaker, right? But do it in the best way and some people like to research online instead of reading books because they can use many sources, okay? And make sure that you're learning in the right environment. Some people like to be among people when they learn. I wouldn't recommend that as much because you're going to be getting their energies, but it doesn't matter. Some people, like some authors, love to go to coffee shops and always write their books when they're in coffee shops, and the same one usually. They just like the bustle around them and to be alone in a crowd, you know, or they like to talk to that same barista or that same deli worker every day. Some people like to learn outdoors in the park or at the beach. Some people like to learn in the solitude of their house. So set up yourself to learn, and some people love to learn with a cup of a warm drink next to them. Some people like to learn with some snacks to munch on while they learn. Some people like to learn through watching documentaries or enthralling and immersive YouTube videos, right? So just keep yourself as comfortable as you can along the path and in the best environment, and you'll learn the fastest. So thank you very much, guys. Remember, I got I'll close the video there. So I've got live stream tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I hope to see as many of you guys there as can come. I've got the tapestry that I was talking about, so I'm gonna go and get some Velcro to tape to the wall and to the back of the tapestry. It's pretty heavy, and I'm gonna put it up on the wall behind me here, change the setup a little bit so we'll have something nice to look at. And I think I'm gonna shine an LED on it as well, so that it looks really sweet. What else? Yeah, if this helped you, feel free to donate to Venmo or PayPal, but that's totally up to you if you want to exchange energy like that, and if you're in a position of abundance, which I know you are, and if you're not, then I know I know it's coming in. And yeah, I'm open for consultations. You can call me up or text me or email me at any time of the day, and you can even star 67 or star 69 it and call me up on an unknown, so I don't even have your number. That's cool with me. Whatever is most comfortable for you. And yeah, I wish you guys the best. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helps you learn faster. I love you, family, and have a great day. Bye-bye.